Harry, today we're going to do a Bible study on impure spirits, and we find this concept in Luke chapter 11, verse 24 to 26. So let me go ahead and read verse 24. When an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to the house I left. That's an interesting statement, right? Like the impure spirit just left this place, and now it's going to go back to the same place that it just left. What's your thoughts on that, Harry?
Yeah, well, Jesus was, when he sent the disciples out, he sent them to cast out impure spirits. So I've often pondered about that. Remember one time they says, well, okay, this man was he was named Legion. He was on Gadara, and Jesus was going to cast out his impure spirits that were in him, and there was a legion. They said there was a legion of us. So this man was a horrible, horrible man. And this man came running to Jesus and fell at his feet because he knew that his time was up. And so these demons, they said, well, we don't want to go to the abyss. Could we go in the pigs? And that's what they did. They went in the pigs, and the pigs all ended up in the sea. They ran to the edge of the cliff, ran off and into the sea. I've often wondered where they went next. They thought that was a good move, but that wasn't. But here Jesus is talking about the unclean spirits that when they leave somebody, when Jesus or the disciples put them out and tell them to leave the man and leave him alone, Jesus says to the people, he says, when you get healed, he says, be careful that you stay clean, lest something worse happen to you.
Mhm.
And so he warns them to do something. But let's take a person that is been set free, been cleaned up, so their mind is clean and everything is good. Now, are they going to be constructive? Or are they just going to go back to some of their old habits? Not real bad to start with, and so on and so forth. So then what happens, the story is that these unclean spirits, they leave the person and then they have no place to go. Do you want to read on maybe?
Yeah, it says when it arrives, it finds the house swept clean and put in order. And that's exactly what you were talking about. Like Jesus has set them free in this case, and the house is clean. So, what are these unclean spirits thinking when they see this house in order, Harry?
Well, to see, it's receptive, eh? So that if they had of God, that person that has been set free, if they had have gone to work and started to invite Jesus into their life and say, Lord, I have been set free. This is so wonderful. The man Legion, Jesus gave him a job to do, and when in his case, so this is a generic case, but the Legion, Jesus, he wanted to go be with Jesus. Jesus says, no, he says, go tell everybody what the Lord has done in your life. So it says he went from town to town and shared the faith in the Gadara area that he was familiar with.
Mm,
So he was a horrible man, and now he comes back as a lamb, and he's coming around telling what Jesus has done in their life. So it's a beautiful setting how he is now constructive. Is he going to have room for letting these demons come back into his life? Not a chance.
mhm.
He is busy. He is about his work. He loves his master. He loves what Jesus, he loves being set free. But if we go back to our silliness that we were at before, a little bit here, a little bit there, before long, Satan comes along and gets us all messed up over again. And a lot of people, that's what happens. They get redeemed, and then they go on for a little while, and then they say, "Oh, this feels good," and then they get back into their old habits, whatever they were. They Jesus sets us free when when the Holy Spirit comes into our life. It changes our appetite, it changes our desires, and we have to do something with that. But if we go back fooling around with our old stuff, our old habits, and Satan says, "Hey, I got a customer coming back here," and then it says that he comes back. Well, read the last part there.
Yeah, that's exactly. It says, then it goes and takes seven other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there, and the final condition of that person is worse than the first.
I have seen that happening. I used to work at a place called Teen Challenge and sees people set free. But sometimes they're free and they're feeling pretty confident, and that's one of the big worries. Their confidence is, and before long they're doing this as sin's not an issue. We've heard that said, that no big deal. God did it. Jesus did it all. He paid the price, and sin's no big deal. Well, sin is a huge deal. If we invite the demons back into our life, it's huge, and they will own us again. And when Jesus sets us free, it's by the Holy Spirit. He gives us a new nature. He gives us all these things. But if we're not using that, and if we're going to do this on our own, we're not a chance. If we're holding Jesus' hands, we're 100 times stronger than Satan. We have nothing to worry about. But if we're on our own and says, I can handle this, Satan's 100 times stronger than we are, and we're not going to survive at all. We're only surviving. All of us that are surviving only because we hold his hand. That's our only strength. There is no other strength. When David dealt with Goliath, it was God's strength. It was not
Mhm.
David's strength. God gave him the opportunity. He gave him the wisdom, and he gave him and it happened. But we can't win this battle on our own. And if we think we are, then Satan is ready to help us, and that's not going to end well.
No, and it's another aspect too, Harry, is that like a lot of people use God as a means for freedom instead of using God to know God more. Though he sets us free, they're always looking for like that fix type thing rather than just living a devoted, surrendered life to him, right? And I believe that also is what Jesus is teaching us here is like, I've set you free. It's time to be obedient to me and walk with me instead of using my gift of a miracle towards you as a means of freedom to get you back to the place where you were before, which led up to all these decisions anyways. What do you think?
Yeah, no, like we have to, if he sets us free, we come to Christ, we want to be really careful we don't lose that, because we can't, Jesus says you can't have two masters. You got to make up your mind who's going to be your master. And if we can hold his hand and stay close and realize where we were and what we've been set free from, my goodness, we do not want to go back to where we were. And we don't want to be sloppy. If we sloppy and start reading the wrong stuff, watching the wrong stuff, playing the wrong games, doing this and doing that, Jesus says, "Well, hey, buddy, it's your turn if that's what you want." And Satan says, "I'm glad to oblige." And before long, yeah, we're
As
back in the
well.
tank. And Jesus is not very sympathetic to that, like if we've squandered when Jesus died for us, that was a big price. And if we just play light and easy with that, no, that does not turn out well.
All right. Thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.